Well, it's a case of, David versus Goliath, Oli, where we know that Marievale residents have, for the past 2 years, been fighting to get their dignity back. It really dates back to them being evicted, not only forcefully and violently, but also unconstitutionally by the SANDF at their homes in Marievale, which is in Nigel on the east of Johannesburg. And we understand that even though there was a court order ordering the SANDF to basically stop intimidating the residents and also make sure that they go back to their homes, this hasn't happened. And this is the very reason why the residents that are behind me right now are really hoping that the court can rule in their favor and hold the SANDF top brass into contempt of court. But let's just get a glimpse of the situations that these residents have found themselves in. I do have with me some of the community leaders, Koli, who have been fighting this long battle for a couple of years now. Thank you so much, Chris, for joining us this morning. Tell us about why is it that the SANDF should be held in contempt of court? What sort of conditions have residents of Marievale been subjected to since the court order in May?
Thank you very much. Since the 9th of May, after the court judgment was given here at this court behind me, that the people of Marievale should be back at their homes in 30 days. The army have never respected that law. They ultimately said the people must go to the bungalows. And the bungalows is actually the setup which is actually for the military recruitment, whereby there is not a place whereby you can put the families, the place whereby you cannot say there is any privacy for any person. And now we are here to say the army is actually not prepared to obey what the court order was actually saying.
Not only is it no privacy, but you have told me that there isn't any places where you can cook. There's no cooking facilities. It's basically not conducive to house families. And I understand there's 600 families that are basically looking for justice.
It's actually not adequate for the community to be restored to that place. Because if you can see, you cannot expect more than 400 people to be cooking in one room. And then there is no provision of stoves or whatever. And that is actually what we ask the army. Where are the people going to cook? Where are the boys going to be when the girls will be around? They said no, there will be a situation whereby there will be bed next to bed. So you can just see that the army is actually not prepared.
What's justice for the residents of Marievale, Chris?
We actually want the justice to actually show the army that there is the law, which is actually the prevention of illegal eviction, that need to be implemented by everybody, which is part of the constitution. And then the army is also subjected to be respecting the law and protecting it. So they just have to do according to the law, nothing else.
Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it.
My pleasure.
There's, of course, Chris, who's one of the committee leaders who's been fighting this long battle for Marievale residents for about 2 years now. And one thing that really comes across, Oli, time and time again, every time that these residents find themselves in this courtroom, is that they feel that the law should not be, not accessible to everybody. They're saying that even the SANDF is subjected to the courts, is subjected to the law. And that is the very reason why they're calling on the North Gauteng High Court to really act very tough, not only on the chief of the SANDF, but also the defense minister, Unosiviwe. So they basically calling on the court to really rule in their favor and also just to force the hand of the SANDF to get them back into their homes as soon as possible.
What kind of punishment, Lirandzu, would the Minister of Defense be facing here if the court does indeed decide that they're going to now implement some extreme punishment on the SANDF? What kind of penalties are we talking here?
Well, these residents are being represented by the Lawyers for Human Rights, and I did speak to them last time that they were trying to get the answering affidavits with regards to responding to this case that we're going to be hearing today. And basically, they're saying that contempt of court is a very serious violation, saying that it is a criminal offence, and of course it could come with either a fine or they could actually be subjected to a good 100 days behind bars. So that is some of the sort of punishment that these top brass of the SANDF could possibly face if indeed they are found to have been in contempt of court. I mean, let's look at the time frames, Oli. They were given 30 days to basically restore the dignity of these residents and get them back into their homes. But it's been about 4 months and this has not happened. This is not the first time this has happened. Where else we saw Marievale residents returning to court again, trying to get the SANDF to comply with the court order. So this will be the second time, really, that Marievale residents are coming here asking the courts to basically, force the hand of the SANDF. So today is going to be quite interesting, where we're going to be at the urgent court, and where there's going to be all these arguments whether or not indeed this court is going to find that these residents do have a case and a leg to stand on, and they indeed should be held liable and in contempt of court. And that, of course, is the top brass of the SANDF.